translation? ثلاث آيات. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مدادا قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا.
Indeed, those who have believed and done righteous deeds, they will have the gardens of paradise as a lodging, wherein they abide eternally. They will not desire from it any transfer. Say, if the sea were ink for writing the words of my Lord, the sea would be exhausted before the words of my Lord were exhausted, even if we brought the like of it as a supplement. Say, I'm only a man like you, to whom has been revealed that your God is one God. So whoever would hope for the meeting with his Lord, let him do righteous work, and not associate in the worship of his Lord anyone.
Can you disconnect it? Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. These are the last three verses after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke in the previous verse about the halul kafirin, the way the kuffar will be in the hereafter and in the next life, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He has for them, which is the hellfire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always balances it. Now He speaks about the other side of the coin, the other destiny that will be there in the Day of Judgment, which is paradise. But this is for who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ كَانَتْ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتُ الْفِرْدَوْسِ نُزُلًا. Indeed, those who have believed and done righteous deed, they will have the gardens of paradise. Actually, it didn't say they will have. The verse didn't say they will. The verse said, كَانَتْ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتُ الْفِرْدَوْسِ. They basically earned it already, Jannatul Firdaus. It's already written for them. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it as a passive tense? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as if they already enter Jannah? ليش قال كانت؟ يعني كأنها حصلت already. As if they already enter Jannah. Al-ulama rahimahullah said, because they absolutely deserve this paradise. لأنهم مستحقين لها. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said they deserve it because of what? Because of their belief and because of their righteous deeds. And because of that, this is basically guaranteed Jannah for them. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ كَانَتْ لَهُمْ. Lahum, lam, in this for them, basically. We call this lam, lamul istihqaq. Lamu al-istihqaq, yani they deserve the paradise. It is the result of their deeds that they enter paradise. What's paradise? Anybody knows what's al-firdaus? Have you heard this word before? Firdaus. What's al-firdaus? The highest level of Jannah. Is this verse referring to the highest level of Jannah? Because هو يقول إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات, those who believe and did good deeds, the Firdaus belong to them. So it means every believer who did good will go to the highest level in Jannah. If everybody in the highest level of Jannah, there is no point from having a highest level in Jannah. Because highest معنى there is lowest. صح ولا لا? So العلماء رحمه الله said, this is an interesting. Is it the highest level in Jannah or Al-Firdaus? It means the whole entire paradise. call الفردوس. الفردوس تطلق على الجنة كلها. All the whole entire heaven or paradise, call الفردوس. And also a specific place of it, which is the top of it, which is underneath the throne of Allah, and it's like on the top of paradise, that it's called Jannatul Firdaus. Jannat al-Firdaus. And in Jannat al-Firdaus, there is even a special place it's called Jannat Aden. That's inside Jannat al-Firdaus, which is even a smaller place for a smaller number of people who will enter that place, which is the highest level in Jannah. Anyway, so ulama rahimahullah said this verse could mean the following, and this very beautiful interpretation. Tafseer min ajmal ma yakun. قال العلماء إن قصد بها الأعلى الجنة, if what meant is the highest level of Jannah, so that means إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات, those who fulfill their iman completely, perfectly. يعني الذين أتموا إيمانهم وأكملوا أعمالهم الصالحة, those who perfect their faith and their good deeds, they deserve the highest level of Jannah. But if your iman and your good deeds are not in the highest level, so you are still in paradise. واضح? Clear? إذا أخذت إن الذين آمنوا على تمامها وكمالها فالفردوس على أعلى الجنة. If you mean آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات, they have faith and good deeds, it means they fulfill that 100%, that means they reach to the highest level in paradise. So those who their heart filled with faith and their limbs basically directed to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who have a correct belief and righteous deed, they deserve Jannah. And this ayah is clearly refute the idea that actions are not needed to enter Jannah. Because unfortunately, in history of Islam, we had a group called Al-Murji'ah, which is people said there is no need for actions. Faith is in the heart. If you believe in your heart that Allah exists and you basically believe in His existence, that's enough to make you perfectly mu'min, a perfect believer, a perfect mu'min. It doesn't matter. لا يضر مع الإيمان ذنب يقولون. No matter, even if you drink alcohol, you fornicate, you do whatever evil thing you can think of, you kill people, you steal people's money, whatever you do, it doesn't mean your iman is any way less than anyone else. You, Rasulullah, Jibreel, equal. Said that basically because iman is only the belief in His existence, that He exists, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But basically that's absolutely wrong. Because al-Iman is, part of it is our deeds. That's what really determine our faith. طيب, you might ask Shaykh Waleed, isn't there is a hadith where the Nabi ﷺ said, لن يدخل أحدكم الجنة بعمله. No one will enter Jannah as a result of his deeds. They said, even you, Ya Rasulullah? He said, even me. But all of us will enter by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's what? Mercy and fadl and generosity. So how can you say that this verse saying that they deserve Jannah because of their deeds? This hadith should be understood correctly. This hadith does not cancel the effect of deeds or the effect of doing good and righteous deeds. No. This hadith telling us who accept our deeds? Allah. Who guided you to the deeds? So you ended up entering Al-Jannah not solely by your deeds, it's because of Allah's mercy. Because He's the one who accepted from you. Even though it may be not perfect, even though He's the one who guided you to do it, He opened your heart for it. So it all originally comes from Allah's mercy. That's one thing. Another understanding or another interpretation for the hadith, the ulama also said, قالوا, that the amount of reward we getting is not equal to the amount of actions that we're offering. Sahih? As simple as this. You worship Allah how many years? 60, 70, 80, 100 years, 1,000 years. And you are in Jannah forever. So I'm just looking at from that perspective only, they are not equal. So look at many other perspectives as well. You will find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us so much of His fadl by entering Jannah. So that's what this hadith meant. So to keep that in mind. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after that He said, خالد جنات الفردوس نزلا. What's nuzula means? What did He translate it with? He said lodging. That you said, Ammar? Nuzula, lodging. Lodging, it means what? The place, the residence. That's one interpretation. النزلة يعني من المنزل, which is the residence. But also nuzula in Arabic language carry another meaning. النزل هو الذي تقدمه للضيف. When you get a guest at home and you offer the guest something, whatever you offer the guest, that we call nuzula. يعني what they will be offered. Which meaning can fit the verse? Both. يعني the Jannah will be their place, and Al-Jannah is what Allah offering them. Jamil? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said after that, خالدين فيها أبدا. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا. Ya salam. Wherein they abide eternally, and they will not desire from it any transfer. They don't want to leave. Yani they will stay in this great reward forever. And they will not wish to leave. Can anyone here tells me, sisters or brothers, what the unique meaning that we get from this description? لا يبغون عنها حولا. They will never desire to be transferred. They will never desire to leave. Why Allah would said that? What would be the meaning behind the beautiful point that Allah trying to make here? Yes, Aqib. Right. You know, I went to this island in China Sea. Okay? I've been dreaming about going to this island for a very long time. And there's another place also I went to. It was like one of my top last to go, which is Honolulu in Hawaii. So I went to these two places, and I spent about a week in each one of them. Beautiful. It's just no, don't compare Houston to these two places or any other place I visited in my life. It's just out of the world. Okay, so peaceful, so beautiful nature. But after a week, I got bored. I want عنها حولا. I want to leave. Allah saying here that this Jannah, maybe it's perfect, but even if it's perfect and beautiful and everything great, some people get bored and they want to leave. Allah said this will never happen in Jannah. Yani not only it's so beautiful, it is so beautiful and you will never ever get tired of it. You would never ever, one young man came to me and said, Shaykh, I love Jannah and everything and I read about it, but I said to myself, khalas, I get everything, I'm going to get bored. You see what I'm saying? I said, you would never feel that in Jannah. That shows you that every day there is something excitement happening to you. There is always something make you attached and interested in this forever. And that's how you keep going forever. So this is very beautiful description of the Jannah. I think this verse should let us go back to ourselves and ask ourselves, what is the concept of winning and losing really means to us? Because wallahi, if you lose Al-Jannah, you lost everything. And if you win Al-Jannah, you won everything. مفهوم الربح والخسارة, it needs to be revisited. And we know what that real means, that I win or I lost. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said after that, قُلْ لَوْ كَانَ الْبَحْرُ مِدَادًا لِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّي. Say, Ya Muhammad, if the sea were ink for writing the words of my Lord, the sea would be exhausted before the words of my Lord were exhausted. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us the story of Musa, the story of the people of the cave, the story of Al-Khadir, the story of the Qarnayn, after He tells us these stories in the Surah, Allah telling us in the end this to tell you, there is so much I have not said about them and other stories as well. There is so much that Allah already have decreed and have allowed to happen and created, that there's so much I haven't even said to you or mentioned it to you. And if I would have document every single thing happen in the face of this earth, the ink, the seas, can you imagine what 2/3 of the earth is water? You take the whole entire oceans and seas and you turn them to ink. Then you take all these trees and you turn them to pen. And you basically use that ink that will run out of ink before we run out of the stories. Before we run out of the detailed description of what happened in this earth or in this universe. So Allah telling this as an end, so no one can come and say, that's it, that's the only thing we know about the Qarnayn, ya Muhammad? That's the only thing your Lord can think, can bring to us? What is the rest of his life? He closed that door and the door of anyone who asks for more detail by telling them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He wants to mention the details, His words will be so much, not a book. But that's not the goal of the Quran. Al-Quran is never meant to be a book to document the history of humanity. Do you know who documenting the history of humanity? This earth. And the Day of Judgment will speak of everything happened in the face of this earth. تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحى لها. I always remember this verse when I go visit castles or any historical landmark and I walk between the rooms and castles. That day I was in Edinburgh in Scotland and I was like looking at these walls and I said, إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها. These rooms will speak what happened inside these walls. How many bad or good or evil or righteous things took place in these places. This what the earth, the history is documented. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this to let us know. In Surah Luqman in verse 27, Allah even said, even if the sea to be multiplied 7 times, it will not be enough to write with it all of Allah's words. Allah's words here means al-kalimat al-kawniyya, the words that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, because everything happened, it's by His order, by saying be. So that shows you that Allah's creation is so many. What happened in this world is so vast. It's been said that also one of the reasons behind this verse, they said that because the Jews asked the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Muhammad, we got all the knowledge. So Muhammad ﷺ told them, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. The knowledge that you have is very little comparing to what Allah has. Then they said, whoever been giving a Torah, the Torah, been giving all the knowledge. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to them, don't think because Allah wrote to Musa alayhi salam the tablet and the 10 Commandments or whatever you have in your book, don't think that this is all what Allah has, all what Allah spoke. Allah has spoke so many things, way more than what you have in your book. Also, after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He mentioned in the fact that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam is His messenger, is a human who been sent to His people, to the earth, to the people of this earth and the jinn as well, to warn them. إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيْ. I am a human like you, will receive a revelation from His Lord. He started it with the same, He ended it with the same start. The end and the start is similar in Surah Al-Kahf. Remember the first verse? الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب. Alhamdulillah, the one who sent down the book to His servant to prove that he is a messenger, receive a book from Allah. And here, إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ, a human like you, receive a revelation from my Lord. Allah revealed to me. So the same exactly, the start and the beginning, the start and the end is the same. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I was told that your Lord is one. Basically, only one that you should submit yourself to, you worship, and so forth. فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ. So those who are looking for meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, expecting to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they expect to be rewarded, to survive the day that they will meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from them? He said to them, let him do righteous work and do not associate in the worship of his Lord anyone. What's righteous deeds? Amalan salihah. We said that many times before. Amal salih, it means you do it for Allah and according to the sharia of Allah, to the way of Allah. So it is for Him and the way that He legislates for us. You don't worship Him according to your hawa, to your desire, to your aql. No, it is you worship Him the way He wants you to worship Him. That's what it called al-amal al-salih. وَلَا يُشْرِكْ بِعِبَادَةِ رَبِّهِ أَحَدًا. He should not associate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anyone. في عبادته من جهة الإخلاص. You don't associate with Allah when it comes to sincerity. وَلَا من جهة التوجه. You don't offer the worship to other than Allah. You don't worship any human beings, dead or alive, or any creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creation. وَلَا من جهة التشريع. You do not associate with Allah in the perspective of legislation. So no one can legislate for you a religion. No one can tell you, hey, do this, or ordain for you something is not from the sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, this will not be an accepted deeds in the day of judgment. Also, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was described here as a human being. بشر مثلكم. I'm like you. To show that al-ghulu fi maqam al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam munkar. Those who exaggerate and treated the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as if he's not a human. Yani some people describe the Prophet in a way that he don't make a human. Even some sects, they said that Muhammad ﷺ was created from Allah. قالوا خلق من نور الله, created from Allah's light. And that's absolutely forbidden and absolutely lie and absolutely not true. إنما أنا بشر, I'm a human being like you. Some people wrote about Muhammad ﷺ and they said that he has 99 names like Allah's names. And they give him 99 names like Allah. Some people talk about Muhammad ﷺ in a way that this is how they talk about Allah. Like the famous poetry Al-Burda, where he said in it, وَمِن جُودِكَ الدُّنْيَا وَضَرَّتَهَا وَمِن عُلُومِكَ عِلْمُ اللَّوْحِ وَالْقَلَمِ. حتى قال شراح البردة من علومك من للتبعيض. They said, among you're so generous, among the thing that you have giving out of your generosity, this life and next. But what's left for Allah? And a part of your ulum, part of your knowledge, علم اللوح والقلم, the knowledge of what is in the safe tablet. لو ناسبت آياته عظما لأحيا ذكره دارس الرمم. They said, and the one who explained the Burda said, some of them said that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam never was giving miracle that fit his status. قالوا لم يعطى معجزة تناسب مقامه. قالوا ولا القرآن. Even the Quran, it doesn't fit the maqam, the state of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The least Allah could have done to Muhammad, أعوذ بالله, يعني كيف الغلو. The least that can be done to Muhammad, لو ناسبت آياته عظما لأحيا ذكره دارس الرمم. That if you pass by a grave of a person who been a corpse in the grave dead for a very long time, and you said, Ya Muhammad, he will stand up from his grave honoring Muhammad. That should be the miracle or the maqam Muhammad. That's absolutely ghulu. That's why some of them said, everyone, his name is Muhammad, will enter Jannah, no matter what he did in his life. They said, except one Muhammad. They made exception of one person will not enter Jannah. Muhammad Abdul Wahab. I'm serious. That's exactly what they said. They said, except Muhammad Abdul Wahab, he will not enter Jannah. They hate him. So, it is unbelievable. هذول this the extreme like a Braillery group. طيب, Anyway, and this extreme in Muhammad, in Maqam al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is so much, can be manifested in many different ways. We love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we honor Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we respect Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but we have to keep that limit, that we don't take him out of the basically the state that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it in. You don't worship Muhammad, you don't pray to Muhammad, you don't make nadr to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you don't say Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam control the ghaib, control the world. All this is unacceptable to be attributed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. طيب, as we start, if you remember when we talked about Surah Al-Kahf, I said the whole entire surah is about protection from fitan, protecting you from the fitan. And we said the surah talk about the fitna of knowledge, the fitna of wealth, the fitna of power and fame, the fitna in the religion, and the whole entire concept of Al-Kahf, cave. Remind you of the first session. The cave is actually meant to be a sign of protection. Human being always, when they think of cave, they think of a place where they can protect themselves, where basically they go to run and to hide and to protect themselves from the rain, from the fire, from animals and so forth. It's a shelter even for animals. And speaking of which, inshallah, this weekend, ICNA, they have a conference, and I'm be talking about a session, me and other two speakers, about caves. And I'm not talking about the cave in Surah Al-Kahf, but I will be talking about the cave that there is 3 people were stuck in it, and a great rock exit blocked the exit. And it's amazing. I was reading in some of the books, and I found some of the ulama mention 82 lessons can be learned from this hadith. I'm not going to be able to say it all in 25 minutes, but it was like the ulama rahimahullah brought so much we can learn from that story. So I'm very excited about that class or lecture, inshallah ta'ala. It's going to be on Friday. So what are some of the points that I want to share before we go to eat? We'll go quickly over some of the points that I think in the surah, it's a guidelines for us how to protect ourselves from trials, from tribulations, from confusions, from the things that take us away, take us astray from the straight path. Number 1, jima'ul khayri kulli, all good in holding into the Quran and to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the beginning, Alhamdulillah alladhi anzala ala abdihi al-kitaba wa lam yaj'al lahu iwaja. Yani هذا الكتاب لا يأخذك إلى عوج. Alhamdulillah, the one who sent down the book, and this book is not crooked, and it will never take you away. It is straight, and it will take you to the straight path. وَاتْلُ مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ كِتَابِ رَبِّكَ لَا مُبَدِّلَ لِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَنْ تَجِدَ مِنْ دُونِهِ مُلْتَحَدًا وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِلنَّاسِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ. Allah many times in the surah talked about the importance of holding into the book of Allah, holding into the Quran, investing time and effort with the Quran, with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm telling you, each one of these points, ask yourself how much you are holding into the book of Allah, how much you read it, how much you memorize it, how much your heart attached to it, how much you try to reflect upon the Quran, how much the Quran mean in your life. The more you attach the Quran, the more protected you are. The less you have in your relationship with the Quran is weak, or the less you're interested in the Quran, the more vulnerable you are to the fitan. Number 2, one of the things that always it will help us a lot in the time of fitan, that we always remember أن بأس الله شديد, وعقابه أليم, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment is severe. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He's angry at someone, basically His anger means destruction. Keep that in mind, so you will not ever expose yourself to Allah's anger or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishment. قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه قال أما من ظلم فسوف نعذبه ثم يرد إلى ربه فيعذبه عذابا نكرا. Allah said that this book warning you from the punishment of Allah. Number 3, also remember that the reward of Allah is so great. وَيُبَشِّرَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ الصَّالِحَاتِ. Give the glad tidings for the believer who do good deeds, أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا حَسَنًا مَاكِثِينَ فِيهِ أَبَدًا. That they have a great reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَمَّا مَنْ آمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَلَهُ جَزَاءً الْحُسْنَى كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا. All these verses in Surah Al-Kahf talk about a great reward for the good, for the good doers. This is in the time of fitan is so important, because you know, if I leave the way of Allah, His punishment is anger, something I would receive. And if I hold on to it a little bit and be patient with it, the reward is unbelievable. Also, number 4, make sure to protect yourself from the fitan. Stay away from speaking in the deen of Allah, in the religion, about the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with no knowledge. إياك والخوض في الدين بغير علم ما لهم به من علم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا. Don't ever argue in the religion with ignorance. You can ask to remove the ignorance, but you cannot argue with ignorance. There's a big difference between the two. You can ask to remove your ignorance, but you should not argue with ignorance. You have no idea what you talk about and you still argue. That people who like that usually end up going astray and going into the fitan. Number 5. One of the main reasons for you to stood fast and to hold into the straight path, ad-du'a. And truthfully you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. هو صدق اللجوء إلى الله. فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. These young men, they were righteous, they were guided, they opposed their people, the kuffar, but still they kept asking Allah to keep them in the straight path. من يهدي الله فهو المهتد. Whoever Allah guide, He is the one who guide. وزدناهم هدى. Increased their hidayah, their guidance. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. This is something you always thank Allah for, being mu'min, for being Muslim, for being Sunni, for being among Ahl Sunnah, and ask Allah to stay that way for the rest of your life. قال ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه كان أكثر دعاء النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The most common dua of Rasulullah was what? اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبي على دينك. Ya Allah, the one who controls the hearts, keep my heart straight. هذا Rasulullah asking Allah to keep his heart straight. How many times we ask Allah every day to keep our heart straight and to show us the haqq and to give us the courage to follow the truth. How many times sincerely we beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. Number 6, running away from the confronting the fitan. One of the reasons for you to be protected from the fitan. وَإِذِ اعْتَزَلْتُمُوهُمْ. Like these young men, they avoided the argumentation. They give da'wah, they were rejected. They didn't basically involve. They kept themselves away from them. يَنْشُرْ لَكُمْ رَبُّكُمْ مِنْ رَحْمَتِهِ. Allah will give you from His mercy. Also, number 7, anytime there is a confrontation, you cannot win this battle, don't enter that battle. Whenever you know there is a confrontation, it's not needed. And you cannot win that argument. You cannot win that battle. You cannot win that debate. Don't enter that debate. Don't drag yourself and the community into that battlefield. Something you're not going to win, don't go to it. That's why the people of the cave went to the cave. They can't win that battle with their people. Dhul Qarnayn cannot win that battle with Ya'juj wa Ma'juj. He just blocked them away. And that's it. Number 8. One of the things that keep you in the straight path and protect you from the fitan, surround yourself with good company. واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي. Ya Muhammad, be patient and be around those who remember Allah in the day and in the night. Number 9. One of the things that is so important for you to be able to deal with fitan in life, tribulation, test in life, to be realistic. To be balanced, not to be idealistic, not to be living in utopia, to be basically realistic. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ إِن لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. Are you going to kill yourself because they didn't believe in you? There will be always a believer and disbelievers. There will be always a mu'min and kafir. Don't over basically burden yourself with that. We have to be realistic. We have to be balanced. We have to know that there will be survival and there will be people who are not surviving. We have to know that people are different. وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Say the truth from your Lord. Whoever want to be a believer, let him be. And whoever want to be a disbeliever, let him be. Number 10. It is so important, as this surah told us, to always know the reality of this dunya. And don't ever be tempted by the dunya. But how healthy you are, how wealthy you are, how powerful, how famous, how beautiful you are. Don't be tempted by the dunya. Everything in this dunya soon will change. صبحهم وبسطهم حرير ومساهم وبسطهم تراب. In the morning they were sitting in silk. By the night they were sitting on the floor, on dust. That's how it is. This is the dunya, it is like that. That's why Allah give the example of it like what? Water. You remember we talked about the water. كَمَاءٍ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. Give them the example of this dunya. وَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا كَمَاءٍ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. Like water. Soon flowers grows in the spring, but basically soon will vanish. Number 11. Be always grateful to every good thing happen to you in your life. Because that's when the thing will keep you in the straight path. Because when you thank Allah for something good, Allah give you more of that good. وَلَوْلَا إِذْ دَخَلْتَ جَنَّتَكَ قُلْتَ مَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. The story of the two men who own, the man who owned the garden and his friends, the poor one. If you want to be straight in your life, if you want to be in the straight path, if you want to avoid yourself from the fitan, you always remember that ash-shaytan is your enemy. Ash-shaytan cannot be your friend. You cannot be ever ash-shaytan's enemy in public and you are his best friend in secret. You cannot be ever trusting the advice of the shaitan. Your father Adam trusted his advice. وَقَاسَمَهُمَا إِنِّي لَكُمَا لَمِنَ النَّاصِحِينَ. What happened to him? Ended up down into earth. أَفَتَتَّخِذُونَهُ in Surah Al-Kahf. أَفَتَتَّخِذُونَهُ وَذُرِّيَّتَهُ أَوْلِيَاءَ. Are you taking him and his children, awliya, friends and allies, instead of Allah, min duni? وَهُمْ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ. They only hate you. بِئْسَ لِلظَّالِمِينَ. They hate you. No matter how much kufr you will do, he will never be pleased with you. So, ajib, ash-shaytan, no matter how bad you become, he will never be pleased with you. You think if you follow him, he will like you. Never. As a human being, he will never do that. Number 13. Stay away from arguing. Argumentation is the reason for people to be divided, for creating animosity, for people when they start arguing over the religion and basically and arguing with jahl, with bad intention and with no knowledge. That's what I mean by argumentation here. Arguing with good intention and based on knowledge, that's a good thing. وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. But if you argue with the bad intention or you argue with ignorant, that's the worst case. وَيُجَادِلُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِالْبَاطِلِ لِيُدْحِضُوا بِهِ الْحَقِّ. They are arguing with batil, with falsehood, so with ignorant. لِيُدْحِضُوا بِهِ الْحَقِّ. For what? For rejecting the truth. Bad intention. Both are in this verse. Number 14. Be aware of injustice. Be aware of being unfair. Unfair and unjust with your family, with your community, with your country, with your with workers, people who work with you, work for you. Be aware with your children, with your parents, with relatives. Be just aware of any form of injustice, because that will bring more fitna into your life, and Allah punish you quickly in this dunya because of that. Number 15, care for knowledge. Learn and learn more, as Musa did, because that will give you protection. Number 16, when you learn, be down to earth. تواضع للعلم. Because when you are humble, when you have humility, when you're down to earth, Allah bless your knowledge. But when you're arrogant, Allah will take away that knowledge and will not have barakah in it. Number 17, anytime you find one of Allah's orders or one of Allah's creations and qadar be something that you cannot fully comprehend the wisdom behind it, don't rush to rejecting it. We got that from the story of Surah Al-Khadir and Musa. Because that's what lead you to fitan. That's what lead you to leave the religion. You start questioning Allah and you start, if you don't know something or you understand the wisdom behind it, don't reject it. Don't think of it as the most evil way. Think of it in the most positive way. Trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you start every time something that, because sometimes it is you are ignorant, you don't know what is the, sometimes people ask me questions and they themselves have completely misunderstanding the hadith or misunderstanding the verse. But he already have doubts in his heart. Don't have the doubts, then you start learning. Because what happened, you already allowed the doubts to enter your heart and your mind, and now you're trying to get it out. And the fuqaha, they told us, and they taught us long time ago, الدفع أسهل من الرفع. Keep your heart protected. Keep your heart clean. Always fill your heart with yaqeen, with trust in Allah. And if you don't have any understanding of something or wisdom behind something, ask. But don't ask out of doubt. Don't ever. That's why Ibrahim, when he said to Allah, show me how you resurrect. He said, أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ قَالَ بَلَى. I'm not, I have no doubt that you resurrect the dead. But I just want to have extra knowledge. I want to have that luxury of seeing it with my eyes. That's it. Because sometimes when you see something from the beginning, you might judge it quickly and you're wrong. A teacher once was teaching a class and he told them, there were this ship which sinking. And there is a husband and wife left. And there is only one place in the boat. So what happened? The husband left the wife in the boat and he jumped and he took that like the rescue boat. So she died and she sank with the sinking ship. He left her to basically drown. And he basically took that last spot on the rescue boat. Then he asked the students, what do you think? What a coward. He's not a man. He leaves his wife behind. There's only one of them has to go. She should be the one. And this thought like saying, and I'm sure some of you thinking, what kind of guy is that? What kind of husband is that? Then he told them, actually, before, when people in the boat were like looking at him and when he arrived there, somebody has the audacity to ask him, said, how come did you do that? And he was crying the whole time. He said, instead of crying, why didn't you let her go? He said, actually, we have a daughter, a young daughter. And we are the only one who's taking care of her. And I just left her with someone to look after her because my wife is dying in a matter of few months. She's basically going to die. And I just took her on that boat trip before she died. So would have basically make no sense for her to go and nobody will take care of her, of the daughter, and he will drown in the boat. So that's why both of them agreed that he should go, and since she's dying anyway very soon, she'll stay in the boat. Sometimes you don't know, and I'm not sure how truthful the story is, but I was reading it the other day. The point is, sometimes from the outside, you think it's so evil, so bad, but you don't know what's behind the scene. You don't know what's the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind the thing that He ordained. Number 18, righteousness. It is so important for the protection of yourself, your family, and your society. التدين من أسباب العصمة من الفتن. The more righteous people in our community, the more our community protected, believe it or not. The more righteousness inside the house, the more the house is protected. The more righteous yourself, the more you're protected. Number 19, It is so important for the Muslim Ummah, for the community, for the country to have wise leadership, to have good leaders. That will protect the society, protect the community, protect the family, protect the country. The more wise, good leaders, good, learned, wise leaders, the more basically the better life will be. Number 20, any good deeds, it has to be based on ikhlas and following Sunnah Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You want to stay in this path, make sure you fulfill these two conditions. You do things sincerely, and you do it also according to the way of Rasulullah. You don't have shirk, and you don't have bid'ah. The more the community, the more your life free of these two, the more you are on the straight path. The more you toward the shirk and the bid'ah, the more you are far away from the straight path. Finally, the verses start and end with putting an emphasis on the importance of tawheed, of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, of making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above everything else in our life, and making sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one that we submit to Him, we depend on Him, we love Him the most, we respect Him the most, we fear Him the most. We don't associate any other with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any form or shape of shirk. فإنه أعظم عاصم للمؤمن في زمان الفتن. The most protecting thing for you from the fitan is to be a muwahhid, a mu'min. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who live upon tawheed and die upon tawheed. This is 21 points that I see in the surah that help us to create or to protect us from the fitan, especially in these days where we're living so many fitan that we see around us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. صلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد. اللهم تقبل منا يا أرحم الراحمين واغفر لنا وارحمنا إنك أنت السميع العليم. اللهم إنا نسألك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام أن تغفر لنا ذنوبنا. اللهم قنا الفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن. اللهم أصلحنا وأصلح أولادنا وذرياتنا وأزواجنا يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم من أرادنا وأراد الإسلام والمسلمين بسوء فأشغله بنفسه واجعل كيده في نحره واجعل تدبيره تدميره يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم إنا نسألك يا حي يا قيوم أن ترفع عن إخواننا المظلمين المستضعفين في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها، ارفع عنهم في فلسطين، ارفع عنهم يا أرحم الراحمين في سوريا والعراق وفي كل مكان. اللهم ارفع عن إخواننا في البورما. اللهم إني أسألك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا حي يا قيوم أن تغفر لوالدينا أحياء وأمواتا. اللهم اغفر لموتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم يا رب العالمين اشف مرضانا واشف كل مريض واهدي كل ضال لنا يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اقبل توباتنا واغفر زلاتنا واستر عيوبنا يا أرحم الراحمين. وصل اللهم وسلم على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. Inshallah ta'ala, we will start a new class. So next week, inshallah ta'ala, I might have, the next month, I have something in my mind. I want to talk about different topics. But in January, we'll start a new series. And this new series will be basically from fiqh al-hadith. We're going to take a collections of ahadith that talk about Islamic rulings and fiqh. And we will take every hadith and we'll make commentary on each and every hadith. So we will be able to study hadith and study also all the rules in regard to many different chapters in fiqh, inshallah ta'ala. Hopefully it will be beneficial, and we'll continue as usual on Wednesday. But for the next 3-4 weeks, I have a couple of points I want to talk about. Next week, inshallah, I will be talking about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as if you see him. I would like to speak about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as if you with him in Medina and seeing him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So hopefully, inshallah, it will be an interesting talk next week. Assalamu alaikum.